I specifically want to speak about Maggi noodles, not just because it's a personal favorite, but because, you know, Nestle is synonymous with those noodles here in India. We began by talking about how, because of high costs, you've had to reduce grammage. While you've done that, competition has replicated similar products. Do you run the risk with products like that and customers switching to other products, other categories?
Well, you have to have arguments. People, consumers buy your product because they have benefits, and so you cannot fool around with grammage. If there's grammage reduction, there's also linked with the need of maximum portion of energy intake, etc. So we have been portioning quite a lot of our products. Also, you see in confectionery, and to have proportional or the possibility to give possibility to consumer to have a portional dimension of energy intake. So you have to combine the whole thing. At the same time, we have been reinforcing the noodles. Then, first of all, we have whole grain. Then we have fortified it with vitamins and minerals. And so, in other words, the caloric intake has been reduced, yet at the same time, the nutrient content has been increased. So that's the combination that we are looking for.
I want to speak to you about competition in India. While a lot of the Indian homegrown nutrient suppliers like an ITC have replicated a whole host of your products, you also have competition from HUL, which is a traditional rival. But you now have new competition coming in from a Danone and an Ober. How is that competition panning out?
Well, that's what drives us. I mean, the competition is actually an engine, because you have to stay ahead, and that keeps us really very alert. And I think one of the reasons why we invest here and going to open an R&D center is to have that competitive advantage kept, because we are closer to the ingredients we are closer to the consumer. We can engineer products much closer to the needs, specific needs of India, and that helps to keep up that difference with competition. Now, competition can copy us. It is for us to keep that difference and that distance and to keep the competitive advantages very active.
A lot of analysts who we spoke to for this interaction thought that your immediate cause of concern will perhaps be the instant food category, where you've had a virtual monopoly. You've been with the #1 player there, but with players like a Danone coming in and then having acquired a Wockhardt here in India, they will have a larger play there. Is that something that also concerns you? Because they've been fairly aggressive as far as the dairy segment is concerned. Flavored yogurt, lassi, or a certain brand of curd. They've been aggressive in the Indian market with that segment, but instant food category is something that you've had a monopoly on, and now there are new operators there.
Yeah, it's. I don't think we have ever had a monopoly. You see, food in general is constituted with many products, and every product competes with other products. We had, so in other words, coming in of new competition, as I said before, is just putting us more alert, and is one of the driving forces behind what we do.
You've competed with an ITC and HUL in India. You now have a Danone. Are you excited about this competition?
We know Danone. We have Danone competing with us in many markets. So India is no exception.
But how different will the competition be in India?
More intense. Competition in general is more intense. I do see many local players who actually are more intense in competition than some others. So for us, competition is a landscape. And there's many players, and that is also rightly so. That is what keeps us really dynamic and creating more value for the consumer at large.
I want to specifically speak to you about margins. While you've got products across segments, what one wants to see is how will you maintain margins? You've had a robust margin flow so far, but because there has been a raw material, prices have gone up. How will you maintain profitability? I think that's something that your stakeholders would want to know from the CEO.
Profitability is a result of many equations, and first of all, be relevant to your consumers. Deliver on what you promise. You have this whole dimension of looking for local raw materials, linking up with your farmers, linking up with your suppliers in a more meaningful way, driving out waste between these relationships, be more effective in distribution, having the right communication, having the right arguments into your products, which should be nutritional arguments, having the best taste, so that people prefer. So there's many elements joining that is linked with value creation. And that is what drives margin. Margin is needed there because that is the success of the company for the future is linked with margin. The ability to invest in R&D, the ability to invest in your brands, the ability to innovate is linked with margin. So it is a really balanced way.
But will you look at more premium price products to keep the margins intact?
Well, I would say
that the competition will be very intense in the lower price segment.
The competition is intense on all levels. I mean, and that's why we have actually from PPP, as I mentioned before, which is on the lower price per unit end. We have the mainstream, but we have also super premium products, and so in our assortment. And actually, quite a few of these products are under the same brand. We are competing on all levels, and that I feel is a strength, because that's where you can really leverage your R&D, your insights, over more product. I
want to speak to you about your R&D now. That's a new facility that you're bringing to India. Will products that will be looked at in the R&D facility here be India-specific, or are you looking to capture other markets from here? This is not India only. I mentioned what we're going to do there is two product platforms, the PPP concept. That's right. Properly positioned, which is a broader concept. That's a concept that we have actually worldwide. It is engineering products towards certain parts of society. And that is going to be something that we're going to do in that R&D center. Why? Because you have already such a big market here in India. But definitely that's going to be also be extended in the South Asian region, Asia region in general, also for Africa and so on. So there's quite a lot of export of knowledge that's going to come out of that. Then you have, and India is a very important instant noodle, Maggi noodle market. So we're going to work on that too. Now we do have also Maggi noodles in other markets, so that knowledge again is going to be spread over to other markets, and that's this R&D center that we're going to inaugurate in a few days is part of a 30+ R&D setup, and they're specialized in certain areas. That's where we're going to be specialized in India, PPP concepts, and also instant noodles. You've largely been an urban and a semi-urban focused company. Will this R&D center help you penetrate the rural markets, because that's where the population really exists? Well, definitely here in India we are already there, and if there's many products like Munch or like our Maggi noodles that are going there. So we are not for urban areas only, and that's why we have also increased our distribution by almost 1 million more stores that we are visiting directly or indirectly to just get there. You may also know that quite a few of our factories are in rural areas. That's right. We have, for example, in the Punjab, in Moga, our milk factory, where we linked up with 100,000 farmers. Well, these farmers are also our consumers. So we also indirectly and directly linked up with many areas and regions of the country. You mentioned your reach, and I know I'm running my time over reach, but I'm going to quickly wrap this up. But you mentioned your reach, and you've spent a whole lot of money. The capital expenditure has gone into the distribution network. You've doubled that capacity. Will we then see Nestle connect more with the consumer? Will we see ad spends go up? Will we see you speaking to the consumer more in the coming few months? I do think so, because also the means to connect with consumers have increased dramatically, also in India. Before it was really through the products. That's best communication is through the products, because they take them in their hands. Right. But we had classical media. Now we are connecting much more through the social media, where you can really go from a monologue to a dialogue. And we are connecting through our website, because every product of Nestle has a nutritional compass where the consumer can connect through websites. And we see that India, like many other countries, is connecting itself with the internet in a dramatic, accelerated way. So these are all new ways of connecting with the consumer in direct form. Two quick last questions. The first has to do with price points, and I'm going to go back to that because that is something that consumers would want to know from you. You are under pressure as far as raw material costs are concerned, like every other company in the space that you operate in. Will we see a price hike happen in India? I don't know.
I definitely don't know. These are details that are managed by the local people here. So, and as I said, there's many ways of going about that, and I know that our operations here are definitely driving waste out of the system in a very, very accelerated way. They have some quite an innovative products where every time they have a new price point. And when you have use all these other arguments first, and there is a need for price increase, they own it to their company to keep it healthy over time, so they're going to have to increase prices. I know that they have done some price increases already, and they have done that, I feel, in a very responsible way, spreading that over time too. You cannot just double your price.
My last question to you, as the global CEO of one of perhaps the biggest companies that the world does see in this space, how do you best describe Nestle?
Well, I would describe Nestle as a company that is, whenever it engages in a country, it is in for the long term, and it is trying to really be part of that country. I started my career also in Latin America for Nestle, and I've seen that how Nestle is linked with countries in the good and the bad times for the long term, and how we are linking up with also local suppliers and driving this, I would say, well, we call it here the Creating Shared Value Forum, which is our activity should really be something that drives success for the company, because that is how we can be successful over time and in the future, but at the same time bringing meaningful value creation for the societies and the countries we're operating in. And I would say that is one of the strongest characteristics of this company. It is this perspective, long-term vision, and how we link up with local dimensions. That's why we are so decentralized. That's why we have so many factories all spread over the world.
When you mention countries that you engage with, countries that you're present in, the question that one automatically wants to ask is that in India you've had very local culinary and local tastes that you've evolved here. Will we see those tastes being exported anywhere else in the world?
We are exporting already quite a few products. There's quite a few Indians living outside, but it is a taste that is so rich, that is loved by so many other people outside there, so definitely.
Which is your personal favorite?
Sorry?
Which is your personal favorite amongst all the products that you make and sell here?
Oh, I like a lot the 2-minute noodles of Maggie here.
Yeah? On that note, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much.